This is Motorsport Radio.
Hello and welcome. This is the Superbike Show. My name's Lester. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we are definitely live this Wednesday evening, February the 17th of February 2021. We've not done this in a while. My name's Lester. Trystan Finocchiaro is here, and Jay King to help us as well. Mr. Pitbike Sonic. Guys, how are you? Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. So it's great to be back. Great to be doing this show again in 2021, and great to be back with the both of you.
Yeah, how are you, Jay?
Yeah, it's a bit of a boring time of year, really, I think, for everyone. It normally is every year, but even with lockdown at the moment. But it's great to be back on the show with you guys, and 2 hours of excitement to come.
What lockdown? Because I went to Tesco the other day and it was rammed full of families. I mean...
Nah, apart from Wetherspoons not being open, it's all pretty much normal, really, isn't it?
Basically, yeah. And obviously the no racing thing. But anyway, we are live this Wednesday evening. Hello. Thank you very much for tuning in, either accidentally or on purpose. Hello to everybody on our BSB fans and support classes Facebook group as well. Give us a shout out on there. Let us know that you're tuned in. And also tonight, we have a very big special announcement at 9 o'clock tonight. It's just in less than an hour. A big announcement. Can't tell you what it is because that's what we're announcing later on. But as well as that, coming up, we've got some live guests as well. Who have we got on the show tonight, Trystan?
Well, we've got both 2021 Appleyard riders coming on. That's the official Yamaha Supersport riders for 2021. That'll be Bradley Perie and Rhys. Irwin. Both come from different backgrounds. One's been in Supersport, one's in Superstock, and they're both going to be frontlining the Yamaha front in Supersport. So I can't wait to catch up with them. We've also got another 2021 Supersport rider, Paasch, coming on. Obviously, he was one of the first, or the first even, American champion in any BSB class when he won the Motorstar class in 2019, and he's coming up, stepping up onto a Triumph in the Supersport class in 2021, and we're going to have him on the show a little later on. So I really can't wait to catch up with him, see what it's like in BSB compared to Moto America, and see what he has to say and how he thinks the season's going to go on that new Triumph.
Exactly. If you've got any questions for them or any questions about our super secret, super special announcement coming up at 9 o'clock tonight, then, you have to wait for that one. But if you've got any questions for the riders, then get them to us in the comments box below, wherever you tuned into this. And let's begin. It's the first Superbike Show of 2021, and let's kick things off with some bits of news. And there has been bits of news break, especially in World Superbikes today. It's their 100th calendar change in the last week. Tell us more.
Well, yeah, we've seen three different calendar changes over in the build-up to the 2021 season for World Superbikes. The original calendar started off. It came out later than all the others, as it normally does. It starting in Assen in the Netherlands. The season was going to start in April. It looked like a good start. Everyone was sort of questioning why aren't we starting in Phillip Island? But obviously with COVID restrictions and stuff, it was difficult for them to get that going. So they decided to start in Assen, and the season was then going to end in Indonesia, which is a circuit we haven't seen for a very long time. And there was going to be a 12th round confirmed. So the Indonesia round was going to be at the circuit, I think Mandalika, I think it's pronounced, and that was going to be there. So that was going to be that season. Obviously with all the different ones scattered in between there as well. They then updated it by adding Phillip Island on, which I think everyone was glad to see. And that was going to be added on as the 12th round. That was their sort of second amendment to it, but everything else stayed the same. And then there was going to be another 13th round that was yet to be announced, which they still haven't announced. So we could be in for a surprise or something there.
I'm not saying it's getting messy, but I'm already losing track of what's going on World Superbikes. Yeah. So cut it out, please. We want simplicity, especially this year, please. None of last year's stuff. So
they normally start really early, Superbikes. I think it would normally be around about this time that the first round at Phillip Island would be, wouldn't it?
Normally February, isn't it? But now they won't be starting till May. They've got the first round. They've moved Assen till like the 4th round, where they were originally going to be starting, and now this is going to be starting at Portimao, which is going to be in May. So just as late as BSB.
Yeah.
Go on.
I suppose it gives the riders a bit more testing time. I've seen Scott Reddin's already been out in Spain on a road bike, constantly going round. So, and I've seen he's been going around with Rory Skinner, but we'll talk about that later in a bit because Rory's been putting some good lap times in. I've been seeing.
Yeah, Rory, and I saw a video on Gino Ria's Instagram.
Yes,
or something.
of them going around together.
Yeah,
he's been out doing.
Interesting stuff. Early days, but. It's good to see the British lads out there early.
Yeah, I mean, there's been no sort of official testing on any of their race bikes, but they've all been out doing training on sort of, road bikes. It's like stock sort of bikes out on the track, which I mean is obviously good for them. They can go, I wish we could do the same.
Yeah, definitely.
And talking about paddocks and stuff, and at least former GP riders. MotoGP, I think today announced on the Wednesday, or it was yesterday, I can't remember which, but there will apparently be very tight restrictions in the paddock for the first test and the first double header.
I don't know really how you can get any tighter restrictions, can you? At the end of the day, it's only going to be teams there anyway, isn't it? So.
I mean, they already sort of changed the calendar a little bit at the beginning of the season, didn't they? Because they were supposed to start with Argentina and the US Grand Prix. They then postponed them and added two rounds at Qatar at the beginning of the season. So both the first and second round are going to be at Qatar, and then moved their pre-season testing at Qatar as well. And then once they get to Qatar, there's going to be all sorts of restrictions in place. They can't book hired cars. They've got they can't book hired cars because MotoGP are going to sort their transport from the hotels to the circuit. Dorna are going to be booking the hotels for them as well. So they have assigned hotels and assigned bubbles for each sort of team and paddock member. I guess that's how that's going to work. And basically, they just got to stick together. And they'll be sorting all the sort of transport back and forth. They've got to do a test within 72 hours before they go. And then they've got to do another PCR test when they're there. Then there's going to be random assigned PCR tests whilst they're there. So it's going to be strict.
You over winter, since we last did a show, Trystan, you've actually been working, doing COVID stuff. What have you been doing?
I've just been doing a bit of the NHS test and traced COVID testing job. So I basically just work at COVID testing centre for a bit of money. It also feels nice to be helping out as well, helping out with the struggle. So yeah, I've just been helping people who are coming to get tests. Sort of more of a customer service job more than anything.
Part-time racer, full-time lifesaver legend, Trystan Finocchiaro, NHS hero.
We're going to have NHS test and trace on the side of the bike this season.
Very good.
Wow.
Yeah, why not? So yeah, that'll be an interesting one. No word yet as to whether privileged, outspoken Twitter journalists will be affected by any of this. Not mentioning any. Will
you be giving out test and trace sample kits like by your gazebo, like with girls in like lycra clothing?
Well, I might as well help out the struggle.
I'll be the first in line.
As long as I get paid for it, yeah.
Oh. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, that happening in the GP paddock. How well will it do? Will it be more effective than last year? Well, obviously.
All markets be back. That's the biggest interesting thing. I did see you put an Instagram post up the other day, but it was all in Spanish, so I didn't really understand it.
Yeah, you couldn't translate it?
No. Sadly, I'm not fluent in Spanish. So.
Oh, I'll have to have a look at that. But I mean. He still seems like he's struggling even now. I know.
There's no convincing There's no convincing data when he thinks he will be back, is there? So,
yeah, he seems to be hiding the fact that he's a lot more nobbled. He seems like sort of Woody from Toy Story. Like he's and
I don't know how much the rumours is true that they're going to give Dovizioso like a race on contract, if you know what I mean. So he basically gets paid race by race until Marquez comes back. I don't know how true that is.
Neither do I. I don't know.
So, it'd be interesting. I'd like to see Dovi get given the chance on the Honda again, but we'll wait and see.
I'd like to see Marquez. Anyway, we will get into that a bit later in the show. But staying with news, Trystan, KTM have sensationally announced that they're not going to be taking advantage of apparent regulations to roll out a completely new bike for this season. Wow, did anyone see that coming?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting decision because, I mean, you could go and make a completely new bike and try and upgrade it and so forth. But then we've seen many instances where people or teams and manufacturers come out, roll a brand new bike, and it turns out to be a lot worse than the old bike. I mean, Yamaha's a massive example of that. The 2020 bike not working at all, and the 2019 bike with Morbidelli finishing second in the championship. Yeah,
there is that. Maybe how much, I don't know, do we know about whether they were secretly trying to develop a new thing and then realised actually this is going to be worse, and then maybe just gave it up at this last minute? We don't know.
Well, if you look at Kawasaki's success in World Superbikes, the main reason they're so successful is that they have sort of a base of a bike and they just keep upgrading it little by little. There's like small things they do to it every year, and they upgrade it gradually as they go along. And now this year, obviously, we've seen the big aero change, but it's sort of gradual improvements, but constant improvements, as opposed to just, let's say, Ducati's strategy of just constantly bringing out a complete new concept. And it works for them. So, I mean, I'm sure it'll work for KTM as well, because they had a good package last year, it has to be said.
And if you remember rightly, I know it was his home Grand Prix, but that KTM won that final round at Portimao really well. So it was kind of say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So
absolutely,
I think they need to stick with it. And also, I don't know if you saw the new tech-free colour scheme with Lecuona and Petrucci. I think that's
orange.
I think that's the best colours on the grid. I think it looks awesome.
I just think it looks like they don't have any sponsors. It's just really orange and
I
big.
Thought that as well. Very McLaren Formula One, if you've seen that car.
I thought it really. Well, I'm really weird because I think the new Kawasaki looks awesome, and everyone thinks that looks terrible. So.
Oh, the new sort of aero,
the alien-looking thing.
Yeah, I wasn't convinced on it, but maybe with a nice livery, it might change my mind.
Yeah.
And also, you just reminded me about the ever-increasing wings on the.
I don't know how
Ducati.
many more the Ducati can fit on. They've managed to fit even more wings on it this year from the early pictures with Jack Miller.
It seems maybe it's no bigger. I don't know, but it just seems like from the early press pictures that those things could. More like Formula One cars, to be honest. But
yeah,
I see all the
it's almost like they're catching up.
Been out testing as well.
What was that, sorry?
All the Ducati boys have been out testing on Panigales as well.
Yeah, they got them all together, which was probably a good idea because they all push each other and push each other to limits, don't they? Obviously, it was all on training bikes, but for someone like because Tito was there, wasn't he?
Yes.
And obviously now he's going to be learning that bike as opposed to the GP bike. Although the engine is similar, he's still going to be learning that bike. So to put him, in that kind of environment, is probably going to be quite good for him.
Yes.
Carl Toole's been on. Hello, Carl. He says the orange regarding the was it Tech 3. He says
3.
The orange is perfect. He says.
Yes. Totally agree.
On the BSB fans and support class. Facebook, we've got to change the name of that, it's too long. Hello to Joey Varden, who's tuned in. He says, hello, hope everyone's okay. And also, what do you think, who do you think will be the new BT Sport MotoGP commentator? That we will answer maybe later in the show or next week.
And I think you had a bit of a hunch there, Lester, didn't you?
Don't know what you mean.
All right, I won't bring it up.
He also salutes Trystan. For some reason.
Thank you.
I don't know. Also, moving on, because we have got loads of stuff to fit into the show. Australian Superbikes Championship, if you keep an eye on that. Well, the first round has been postponed due to COVID. The first round, which was part of a festival, an Australian all-wheels festival, apparently. Anyway, that's been kiboshed for that, unfortunately. And I don't know when the second round might be, but COVID. Also, BSB news, not exactly late, but it's still worth noting that, Lee Hardy confirms...
We've got lots to catch up on BSB news. We haven't been here in ages.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to go too far back, obviously, because it's just...
I think Suzuki were the last ones to announce, weren't they, with Kent and
Gino, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But no, actually, Ryan Vickers was confirmed at Lee Hardy Racing last week, I think.
Yes, that was.
And Lewis Rollo also in the team, racing in Superstock as well. And Motorcycle Live is back, Trystan.
Oh, yes.
That would be brilliant to see. December this year, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, because we've missed it. Is it 2 years in a row? No, just 1 year. 1 year now. We've missed it. So
I don't even know where we are.
I've lost track of all this. It just feels like one big clump of time, all this COVID stuff, doesn't it? But yeah, that'd be good. I mean, it's always an enjoyable event, and I haven't been for a couple of years, so that'd be nice.
Yeah, apparently it's
providing it doesn't get cancelled.
Scheduled provisionally for between the 4th and 12th of December, slightly later than normal at the NEC as normal. And also as well, you may have seen.
Will we have a team there, Leicester?
Maybe. I don't know if we get accreditation. If we get someone to. If I could drag someone around with a camera with me to go and grab as many interviews as humanly possible, then yeah. If you're offering, okay, that's sorted. Then we'll do it.
I'm not doing the cameraman job.
Yeah, you've already volunteered.
What you've got yourself into now, Jay.
No.
Anyway,
you can't put this face behind the camera. It only has to go in front.
Nice to start the season off with some confidence, though. I'm sure. Moving on to, you may have seen there was a lot of talk on the internet regarding, mostly from Formula One fans, because of how much they know about Rich Energy's involvement previously in Formula One and Rich Energy OMG Racing. Of course. Anyway, William Story, owner of Rich Energy, released a somewhat rambling and, I have to say, sort of incoherent video at the weekend, suggesting that he's aiming to get back into Formula One again somehow with a team that was on he basically didn't say anything at all, but apart from that he wanted to get back into Formula One, and it drew widespread criticism from fans.
I don't know a lot about car racing, but didn't that partnership end a bit badly last time? It did. Well, you know a lot more about four wheels than me, Lester.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, is what it is. You only have to Google Rich Energy to see if you can.
I'm still yet to try one of their energy drinks.
I have tried one, courtesy of Alex Bolton. Hi, Alex, regular tuner in.
Well, since I'll be in the BSB paddock a lot more this season, I'll have to try and get myself one, won't I?
We'll talk about why you'll be a lot more in the BSB paddock this year a bit later on.
Is it?
Well, you might as well talk about it later. But anyway,
me and Trystan don't get up now because of this, because we're enemies now, aren't we?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. You're I haven't announced what I'm doing yet, so I might be somewhere. I might be completely somewhere else.
And I know what everybody's doing, apart from when I don't.
Tristan's the passenger for a sidecar this season.
Yeah, well, a passenger.
Yeah,
I'm driving the sidecar.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
we all saw how bad I was as a passenger at Rowra.
Terrible. Anyway, talking about incidents on track, Specsavers Hull Racing is a new team to the paddock.
I can picture the memes coming in already. There's going to be so many jokes about that. I can already hear the cheesy pickup lines.
I say good luck to them.
Commentary lines.
Their riders.
What class is this in? Can I ask?
This is in the super stock class with new rookie Anthony Moore and Leon Geacock as well. So
I've raced against Leon Geacock before. Well, when I say race, I was on the same track as him. I didn't get anywhere near him.
Certainly, that should be definitely interesting, like you say, Trystan. I mean, if you're going to name your team Specsavers, you're asking for a few memes, aren't you?
You know, you have the fake lights on the front of race bikes now. Will there be a pair of glasses?
There we go. There's the first one. We've already had it.
There you go. And
not even 5 minutes after talking about it, we already have the first one.
I mean, we're not mocking. I mean, you guys named it Specsavers. But
at the end of the day, it's very difficult to get sponsors now. So you take whatever you can get.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, if a Portaloo company was sponsoring me, I'm going to take it, aren't I?
Or even they had. That Dave Tyson had, he had Pornhub not long ago.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a bit of a, get the bike out there sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Incidentally, because we did an article about Pornhub and that sponsorship, Motorsport Radio now always receives a certain portion of hits on the website because of people Googling the word Pornhub. Just thought I'd share that.
I thought you were about to say
clever marketing.
I thought you were about to say then that people search motorsport radio on Pornhub then.
Maybe, I don't know. They do.
Maybe they do.
Anyway, moving on.
Maybe Leicester does.
Yamaha. And what's this, Trystan, about Yamaha's move to MotoGP chassis specification? Something.
Yes. Yeah, they're looking to move their bike, the chassis specification that they're going to be running this season, bit closer to Morbidelli's chassis specification. So basically they're moving the 2020, because they can't make roll out a new bike, can they? Because they have to keep to the old regulations, or their old bike rather. They're moving it a bit closer to Morbidelli's, which basically meaning they're moving it more to the 2019 chassis, which makes sense because a lot of the riders have been saying, I want to go back to 2019, I want to go back to the 2019. Obviously, I don't think they could quite have done that, but what they're trying to say is they're trying to make it somewhere in the middle. I think Massimo Marigali said something about that last year the 2019 worked in some places and the 2020 worked in others, and the ones where the 2020 worked, the 2019 did it, and vice versa. So basically what they're trying to do is have somewhere in the middle that works in both. That's essentially what they're trying to say, but I more read it as that they're looking to bring the 2020 more like the 2019 and don't want to quite admit that the 2020 didn't
They don't
really work.
want to admit that they're 2020 bikes.
Yeah, you can't just go out and say that, but they are sort of saying they're bringing the bike closer to that, which could mean Quattararo's got a better chance. Equally, Maverick and even Valentino. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see because I think Frankie will still be on the 2019, won't he?
Who are you asking?
I would have thought so. Yes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't know what Rossi, I'm guessing, will be on his bike that he was on this year, I guess.
Yeah, possibly. And they'll be moving that chassis specification to whatever midway that they're trying to achieve.
They put their new pictures out this week as well on Instagram.
But I feel like they need to be focusing also on engine reliability because those engines were going every other weekend, weren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's the end of the news that we've got pre-prepared. If there's anything else that you guys can think of while we're just...
Is it just a bit off topic? Is it Vinales' last year on contract with Yamaha this year? Because I can imagine if he doesn't have a good year this year, it could be curtains for him in Yamaha this year.
I believe it is, yeah. But they seem to really like him, don't they? Yeah. They're always sort of backing him, and I think Massimo Marigali made some sort of statement like that. He said something along the lines of that he has more faith in Maverick than he does in himself.
Wow, it's just. He started off so promising, it's kind of just flatlined, really, hasn't it?
There's one other bit of possible news that I saw. I saw Fraser Rogers on Facebook the other day. He was asking about some of the helmet suppliers or support for helmet for his sister, who is looking to do a campaign in the British Talent Cup this year, Holly Harris, who for many years has been riding in Fab Racing. I didn't even know that was...
She is the only Fab Racing winning female, I believe.
Yeah,
yes.
She was. That was this year in the senior minis, wasn't it?
Yes. So. Yeah.
And if that is the case, Holly, then fantastic. Congratulations. If you're still looking for... obviously, a lot of people are still looking for budget. It's not unusual. Then hopefully you can get something together and, dive into the British Talent Cup, and it's already been females racing in BTC. Of course, I don't know what anybody else is doing. I don't know who's actually confirmed in BTC this year, to be honest. I think
there's a lot of faces that are same. I know Harvey has moved up to the GP2 class next year. Obviously, we know Eddie's got the Red Bull and the British Talent Cup ride, so I think the rest are pretty much the same, really.
Okay, well,
and I'm not 100% sure with Casey yet. I don't know if he'll be doing another season with the British Talent Cup.
Maybe we can focus on that on another show, because we have got quite a bit to go till the season starts, and I think we just wanted to get on early, do a show, because we're all sick of just moping around going, not having racing. So I thought, let's just do a show. Well, Trystan actually said it, let's do a show, and I said okay. And here we are.
It's great to be back, isn't it?
Yeah, hello to everybody who is tuned in on the internet as well. loads of people. So I'm pressing buttons. I'm literally seeing who's on the internet as well. Hello to Dawn Hammersley as well, who's tuned in. Maybe she's tuned out now, I don't know. But still to come on this here Superbike Show, the first one of 2021, we will have shortly a couple of guests. We'll have Bradley Perie and Rhys Irwin as well. Get your questions to them if you want to ask them any burning questions that you've got. I don't know, however personal. I think we've pretty much got free reign with whatever we ask them. So they'll be on for a good half hour. And then at 9 o'clock-ish, sort of, we will have a very special announcement here on Motorsport Radio. So do not miss it. Just stay tuned.
I'm even looking forward to it because I don't even know what it is.
I think you do.
Do I?
Yeah, I told you earlier.
You do.
Yeah.
And it's written down on our little script thing as well.
It is.
Oh, that little script thing.
Yeah.
That thing that you're always paying so much
The
attention
thing that says
to.
coming up next is Pit Bike Sonic. And
is it my time now, is it?
Yes, Pit Bike Sonic, briefly to tell us about what is I don't know what you got written down.
What's going on at the moment in the pit bike world?
Yes, please tell me.
Oh, well, there's not a lot really. Same with all racing, really. What can I say at the moment? It's kind of building down to two manufacturers in the pit bike world at the moment. Everyone seems to have gone a bit of a diversion of a way, and a lot of people have got new bikes for 2021. And I've been lucky enough that I've been given a Moto for 2021, and a lot of people are buying these bikes, and a lot of people are getting the new CW bikes, which obviously Trystan's a commentator for us at Fab. He will know Rossi Bannon was riding one of them, Eddie O'Shea was riding one of them, and I see that Ryan Hitchcock, the Extreme 200 champion, I think he won the Liquid Cords as well.
Yeah,
he won a lot of things.
He did. Yeah, the LC4.
He won it at the last race. I watched that race. It was very good. He's been given a CW as well, so it's certainly turning into a two manufacturer championship in the pit bikes next year, and people are going hard into it now, so it'd be interesting. Hopefully I'll be winning with Moto, and we'll keep the CW bikes behind us. And
you're doing a couple of different campaigns, Jay, in B&B as well, I think, aren't you? Or is it in the free
I was planning to do a lot of B&B rounds next year, but I've had to cut them short because unlike Fab, B&B don't avoid BSB rounds, and obviously we'll talk about that later, but I'm going to be at BSB rounds, so I've had to cut a lot of them, but I will be doing a few B&B rounds, just not as many as I was hoping. And then I'll be doing obviously quite a few of those free tech races.
Hi,
with,
Hudson
Kenny, who hopefully you're going to get a relationship with.
Whoa, I don't know what you've heard. I only said hello to him. Jeez.
You stepped in it almost as much as Leicester did with the.
Anyway.
All right. I'll leave it.
I know nothing.
Also, a lot of people will be gutted, and I was gutted because I wanted to bring you two as well, that the Benidorm Spain trip has been cancelled for pit bike testing.
I was really looking forward to it.
I was looking forward to taking you out clubbing, Leicester.
Oh, we should have got Leicester on a pit bike. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Have you ever rode a bike, Leicester? Like, even a moped when you were like 16?
I had a BMX, which I...
BMX?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you still have it?
Do I? Does it look like I ride?
Can we have it as a little motorsport media paddock scooter?
No.
All right.
I'm sure we can go out in the go-karts at Rara at some point this season, can't we?
Well, I don't know. They didn't do it last year. But anyway.
It always rains at Rara.
It always rains at Rara, their brand new slogan. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Hi, Malcolm.
I've never been there and it hasn't rained.
So the pit bike scene then, Jay, just tell us then very quickly before we get our first guest on. So let's just pretend that I am actually really interested in actually racing the pit bike. I might be, you don't know.
No, it looks like it's going to be definitely a fab this year. It definitely looks like it's going to be one of the busiest grids, especially running the new Rookies Championship as well. I think we're going to get really good numbers of fab. I think the extreme class is going to be kind of dark. It's been dying out for a few years at Fab now, but everyone seems to be going over to the 140s now just because they're easier to look after.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, and place to go and check it out. How do you initially make contacts? Is there a website anywhere?
Just come find me on my racing page on Facebook, Pit Bike Sonic. subscribe to my YouTube channel. Obviously, that'd be a big thing. It's always Pitbike Sonic, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So find me on there if you need any help.
Okay, right.
Always time for a shameless plug.
Yes, there is.
Why not, indeed? This is the Superbike Show. It is Motorsport Radio, and I am just briefly trying to get our next guests in, who you can talk a little bit about, Trystan.
Yeah, our first guest on the show in 2021, the new lineup for Colin Appleyard's Yamaha Supersport team, a team that's obviously had a lot of success in the class. Current reigning champions. They've won the British Supersport category, I think, 4 years in a row now it is. Brad Perie is going to be joining the team after a really impressive year on the 13S model Yamaha, with a family-run team as well. And also Rhys Irwin's going to be making the step up from after finishing second in his debut season in Stock 600. So it's going to be a really strong year for that team. And that's my prediction anyway. And we've got both of them on the show joining us tonight. So how are we, boys?
Oh, so about yourself?
Oh, they're actually here. Okay.
Yeah, not too bad. So we'll be bringing them on very shortly indeed. I think we're just waiting on Lester to bring them live on air. He's taking his time, but we will have them on air.
It's our first show back. Let's just
first show back. We'll let him off. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking to both of these, Jay, because obviously we saw how strong Brad was last year in the class, and also Rhys took to the 600 really well in the stock class as well.
All right, well, hello guys. Thank you very much for coming on the Superbike Show this evening. Hope you're all well.
Not so bad, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, here, doing a show. Trystan and Jay have questions.
Yeah, so Jay, if you don't mind, I'll start off.
Yeah, go for it, Trystan.
Firstly, I mean, just aimed at the both of you, because obviously, I think I'd say for both of you, this is pretty big. This is pretty good news. How did the signing come about for both of you? I'll start with Brad.
To be honest with you, it came about just because I don't want to do racing unless every year's a little bit of a step up. And to be honest with you, me and my family, we couldn't really do much more with what we could afford. So, essentially we were just honest and said, met Robin and said, is there going to be a possibility to ride next year? And them conversations sort of developed, and we spoke about stuff, and basically I think we had a ended Brands Hatch, and he said, so that was a good race weekend, that one for me as well. And we basically said, meet me in 2 weeks, and we'll go through all the details and figure it out. And if that's something you want to do, then that's something we want to do, and have that conversation there and then. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty basic really. There's nothing too exciting to say, at least on my part. I don't know about Rhys, but it was just like, I think it'll work for you and it'll work for me, so why not? And it made sense, because it just wasn't much more that I could do to my bike to then help me get that a little bit further up. So it just made sense at that point. But yeah, it's quite basic. It's more like a handshake and conversation. Nothing like no fancy contracts or anything like that. It was quite simple, really.
No, that's fair enough. And I mean, how does it feel as a start? I mean, to make that sort of a deal.
For me, it's quite a big relief. Because it's never really happened before. It feels really cool. Also, because at the end of the day, it's like a factory Yamaha supported team. But I think, I don't know. It's just with everything, with the lockdown, everything going on, it feels quite quiet still. Nothing isn't quite. So we haven't gone testing. We haven't, had the suits delivered or anything like that. So it still feels a little bit like we're not quite there yet. But I think when it kicks off, it'll be really cool. And like I say, it was something that we're all looking forward to.
I mean, did you expect it at all?
Knob that in the paddock, but
just to butt in, your post race interviews are the best in the BSB paddock.
I'm glad. And do you know what? What's the point of being so vanilla?
Yeah, it's brilliant. To be honest with you, just say it how it is. Yeah, it's brilliant.
But no, in all honesty, I kind of did expect it, because otherwise I wouldn't know what else to do, because we got 6 podiums in 6 rounds, and for someone that, it's just me and my dad and, a couple of helpers, I sort of thought that was going to be natural progression. And if it didn't happen, or, if there wasn't any opportunities to do anything else, I probably would question myself and would say, what am I doing this for? Because it's just a really expensive hobby now. So there was a little bit of I do think this is going to happen, but not to the point where, I walked in, really cocky or whatever, said, I deserve this ride, give me it now, nothing like that at all. But yeah, I feel like I've earned it anyway. That's my theory.
Like you spoke about, it was like your own family team and things like that. And I think it was quite well documented that your bike was a fairly old bike. You've been on that bike a long while. Do you think you're going to miss it? Is that a bit like your armchair? You know it in and out, and now you've got to get on something that's like the best bike on the grid, really?
Well, yeah. I mean, do you know what? It's totally true. That chassis was a really old chassis back from 2008. It had a newish engine from 2016, and it obviously got refreshed every couple of years. But it is like a little bit like having a little pet, or like a car that's a bit attached. But joking aside, I mean, worst comes to worst, and for some reason I hate the new model bike. I know it's old one, you know what I mean? We haven't
you couldn't bear to get rid of it, then you have kept it.
No, well, one of our sponsors was putting in so much. We said we'd just give it to them as like a present. He said, honestly, what you put in's worth more than what that bike's worth. Because
100%.
It's a really competitive bike. It's probably not worth that much because it's the old model. So it made sense.
Yeah, but it must be exciting. And do you feel a bit of pressure going into that big team after kind of doing it all yourself? Really, it must be a lot knowing that you're going into the biggest team in Supersport. Really.
Yeah, there is. But I don't know. I think it's no secret that next year is going to be really competitive Supersport. I think it'll really bring some life to it again.
I think next it needed what this rule change the Supersports has got. It really needed it with the Ducatis and the new Triumphs coming in.
Yeah, I think I'm very. I love a laugh and I love a joke, and I'll do that all day long if I have to. But if things don't become even with all the bikes, I will be making a point of that. And like I say, there is a little bit of pressure with the athletes. Obviously, won the last 4 years in a row. But if I go out on that first test and there's a Triumph rocketing down the straight or a Ducati rocketing down the straight, I will be making a point of that. That's a fact.
You finally get the best ride on the grid, and then someone else outbeats you.
But I think at the end of the day, the whole point, I think, of anyone in BSB, whether you're in Stock 6, whether you're in Superbikes, Supersport, or Junior Supersport, or whatever, is to get a Superbike. That's the whole point, I think, at the end of the day. And I think me, Rhys, anyone in that class is going to have the best chance of winning a Superbike ride if they can win the championship. And I think at the end of the day, as much as I want to win anyway, winning a race by 20 seconds because there's no one else there, or because there's no other teams there, I think isn't as exciting for the rider and for the sponsors and spectators. So I think at the end of the day, you want to try and get a Superbike ride, and I think beating lots of big names or lots of people that are known winners is the best way to get one.
Yeah. You've never really been in a team environment like this. I mean, for as long as I've known, you've always sort of had that family team aspect of it. Do you think there's going to be any sort of adapting you need to do? Is there any sort of what do you think the challenge is going to be like?
Honestly, part of me says we'll just find out. Don't think about it. Just find out when we get there. We'll learn through it. But as much as it's obviously going to be new, I think we're the reason that we got quite high up in what we do as a family is because we do it properly. We do it methodically. We do it. So at the end of the day, instead of me listening to my dad, I'm going to have to listen to a member of the team. So I think at least I'm telling myself at the end of the day, we did very well in Supersport last year. All we've got to do is shave a couple more tenths off on a new bike, and we'll be there or thereabouts. So yeah, there'll be a bit of adapting to, and a few new faces. Like I said, this is the first time I've got a teammate. It's the first time I'm working with anyone else other than my dad and a few friends. So yeah, it's going to be different. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're all people, aren't we? I'm sure we'll get along and it'll be fine.
Absolutely, and we've had a couple of technical problems with Rhys, but I think we've got him on now. So we'll move to him now because we've had a lot from you, Brad. So we'll move over to Rhys. I mean, for you, we'll start from the beginning. How did the signing come about on your part of it?
Yeah, well, obviously, sorry for my technical difficulties. I had a bit of last minute. My laptop decided today wasn't the day.
It happens.
Yeah, to be fair, for me, it was I remember Robin, he started speaking to me quite early, because I remember I was my rookie season in Stock 6, and I remember Snetterton was round 2 and I qualified on pole and it was my first podium and stuff, and then the next round was Silverstone, where I had to get top 3 practice and then qualified on pole and then got the win and everything as well. And at Silverstone, it was when I first kind of started speaking to Robin. And between then, it was just kind of, a lot of just chatting, general stuff. He'd help me with stuff, obviously, because he knew that I was so kind of early in my stages of learning to ride a 600 stuff. And I know that obviously he had rode 125s and stuff. So yeah, he kind of helped me just over the years, kind of spoke to me and had a lot of conversations, and, just kind of helped out when he could.
I mean, obviously, then, if you were talking from a relatively early point, did you expect it to then grow into into this?
Yeah. To be fair, I'm young and naive, so obviously, as soon as I was speaking to him at the start, I already knew what I wanted.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, no. To be fair, I think the season going, as well, and learned as much as I did in a short space of time. I'm glad that I have got the opportunity, and he did take the chance on me.
And that's what it's about. It's all about knowing, obviously, the right people, getting in there and talking to them like you did. And obviously, it's now brilliant news. I was really happy to hear that, obviously, because I raced against you this year, and you were mega quick, and so I was really happy to hear that you'd got that step up. But obviously, the big question is, we've asked Brad, we'll ask you. Do you feel any sorts of preference, because it's it's a big team, they go for the championship, it's the biggest?
Well, to be fair, I think I'm in quite a fortunate position, where it's a learning year for me, and and speaking with Rob and the team and stuff, that they it's we've all kind of said, learning year for me, just for me to go out and learn. I'm not under massive pressure and stuff, obviously, with myself, and I have certain goals, and I know myself what I expect of myself. But for me this year, it's just going to be all about, every time I get on the bike, learn as much as I can, and every time I throw my leg over it, just swing out of it and go hard as I can.
And moving from that, obviously we'll move to sort of your guys' ambitions, and I'll move back to Brad on this one, because I'm assuming that sort of the way it's going to go is Brad's there to win the championship. So essentially, Brad, what are your ambitions? Are you there to win?
Well, yeah, we're all on 0 points at the moment, and this is something I was thinking about the other day. It doesn't matter who you are, we're all on that level page at the moment. So, but yeah, of course it is. At the end of the day, I wouldn't have wanted to take the ride if I didn't think I was going to try and win it. That being said, like I said earlier, it's going to be I think it's going to be really difficult. You've got obviously you got Kennedy coming back, you got a new Triumph team, and obviously Geeling got a slightly newer lineup. But at the end of the day, I think, like I said earlier, I was looking at my lap times last year, and they weren't, they were equaling Kennedy's from when he took off. Because when Kennedy used to lead by miles, and we looked at our lap times this year, and they weren't a many miles away at all. So at the end of the day, I think if we shave a couple of tenths off, which isn't mad amounts with getting the new bike, with learning more tech rather than kit, electronics. So yeah, I'm just that's the goal, obviously, but I think we'll take it session by session. I don't think let's go out thinking we're going to win and we're going to, obviously I'm sure Rhys is the same. I think every single rider is the same, but I'll just try and take it session by session, and we'll work on it if we're not first, and if we are first, we'll say fantastic, but couldn't we improve maybe? So we'll just see what happens. But that's what I'm really relaxed at the moment. We'll just ride the bike, and if I'm quick, I'm quick, and if I'm not, then we'll just go on with a sad face, really. It's not in the world, is it? And then
Going off subject quickly a bit, you mentioned Jack Kennedy then. The first time I really noticed you was a race in 2019 where it started raining at Brands Hatch halfway through. Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember it well.
That was, you kind of, basically everyone kind of slowed up and started putting their hands up, wanting it to be stopped. It was declared a wet race at the start. And I think you got up to the lead for a little bit, didn't you, I believe?
Yeah, for about half a second, yeah. Yeah, it was just, like I said, again, we were just always learning. It's not so much learning, actually. We just never could afford to have the best bits. And I think anyone that believes that we're all getting paid to do this is absolutely naive as hell. Yeah. And, it's just, being a family team, that is the big disadvantage. If you need to fork out for big money for whatever, you just can't do it really without someone else saying, "Oh, there you go." So every year we've just chipped away and got, say, a few new bits. And last year we had, other than more tech, we had pretty much all I asked for, and we did really well. But that's what I was saying. I said to go that next step, we can't bring that. But Apple Yards can help us to bring that. So that was the move decision. And like I say, that race, it was brilliant though, because when it raced,
that race for me, that was one of the best Supersport races ever. And Seeley and Kennedy having their little spat at the end.
Yeah, and do you know what? Like, I mean, I'm not an arsehole or anything. I'm not going to start. Sorry for swearing about it. I'm not going to start shit anyone or anything. But I love that, just because like two people absolutely hate each other. I think it's brilliant. It really made it entertaining. Like, I mean, as much as I'll shake anyone's hand and say, "Well done, you absolutely rode a brilliant race," I love watching someone on TV and seeing two people hate each other and it just clashing. I don't know
if you remember, but Carl Foggy, you might be a bit young for this, but he always used to say, even if he got on with him, to beat him, he had to hate him.
Yeah.
He just had to dislike people to beat him.
It'd be interesting in the pit box if that happens between me and Rhys, wouldn't it? But we'll find out.
Early days yet, so you never know. You haven't turned a wheel yet.
No. we literally haven't done anything. I mean, I don't know about Rhys, but I know we're in the process of getting the suits designed, and that's about as exciting as it gets at the moment.
Oh yeah, right.
We haven't done any practicing or anything, so we're all on level playing field. So that's.
You think if it was a normal year, you would have both been at the NEC doing the shows and things like that, but you just nothing. You can't do anything at the moment.
Normal year, we'd be out there testing by now. I mean, the normal year would be out in Spain right now, and I mean, I don't know about you guys. Do you guys have any sort of testing planned or scheduled? It's hard to have anything planned at the moment.
I don't like to say. Maybe Robin's favouring Rhys at this point, and they've got like a secret plan that's not telling me. As far as I know, we're just going to go to the BSB test. If the BSB tests go ahead, then we'll go to them, and if they don't, then we'll just turn up at round one. Whenever that happens, hopefully it will go as planned. But yeah, there's nothing secretive going on. No, like Spanish tests, all like that. So
have either of you, obviously, Rhys, you've been riding the new R6, but you haven't had a chance on the Supersport spec. Have you had any sort of chance to ride a Supersport spec bike or get used to anything?
Yeah, no, I've no experience in anything. I jumped off the Moto 3 at the end of 2019, and that R6 is actually my brother's old bike that he got, so it was 2 or 3 years old, and I just kind of jumped on that. And initially it was going to be a learning bike as well, but I didn't really want to stick to that plan.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, that's your natural sort of racing ambition, isn't it? And it was brilliant to see how well you did it in the class this year. But throwing that question back to Brad, have you had a chance to have a go on the new R6 at all?
No, I've got that Ride 4 game and I played on that, but.
I think that's as close as we can get to anything at the moment, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think they're quite similar. Like, I mean, I'll find out when we ride them. But yeah, I've heard the brakes might be slightly different. But as far as chassis and everything goes, it's pretty similar. Obviously, I think they run Öhlins, we ran K-Tech. They use Motec ECU, whereas I ran Kit. So some stuff to try out. But I mean, it's still a 600. It's still like, as far as the heart goes, it's very, it's the same mod. It's the same bike. It's just a slightly more updated version. So yeah, we'll just see how it goes.
Did you expect to be so quick and so almost sort of even close enough to even challenge for a title, that sort of pace on that bike? Did you expect the old R6 to be able to do that?
No, well, I don't know. I mean, we looked back at I think the best one we looked at was back when Brad Ray was on the old R6, and my aim, and he did really well. I think it was 2015, 16, maybe something. I'm not sure.
He won so many races on the trot once they got a bit of a better bike. I think at the start of the season they had a really old bike when I speak to Brad, and then a couple of races in they managed to upgrade it, and then he just absolutely cleared up. Yeah. So what we always used to do was, it was never the point of the race weekend, but we always used to look at it sometimes just to see. And we'd always look at what lap times he used to do there or thereabouts at that particular track, and then look at what we're doing. And like I say, last year we matched them all, if not beat. We beat most of them. So we knew that from all the people that have ever ridden the 13S, we probably got the most out. The most out of it. Which is why we said, if we're going to do Supersport again next year,
we'd need a new bike, but it's not just the new bike, it's buying all the spares, it's buying all the wheels, it's buying everything, and to be honest with you, we probably wouldn't be able to sell our bike for the money that we feel like it should be worth. So the whole Lapidaire thing just made complete sense.
And in terms of, obviously, excuse me for asking this question, but I ask all the guests we have on because it's my interest, and I feel like we should be able to talk freely about these sorts of things. Obviously, from a budget perspective, you're budgeting a bit differently, aren't you? Because if you're running your own team, you're budgeting, you're sorting everything, you're paying for everything and sorting it all out. When, as opposed to like giving a wad to a team, what's the sort of difference in there? I mean, obviously, if you don't want to disclose anything, then don't worry. But what's the main differences going from year to year?
Yeah, I won't get into details of it because I don't think they'll be very happy with that. But the biggest thing I think will be the crash damage. Not that I'm going to take my brain out and just destroy it, but the point, it's always been like a cloud over my head, knowing that if I crash this, for one, I'm fixing it for the next 6 hours, probably more, and two, we're paying for it. So, the bloody expensive bikes to crash. So, with a team there, there's going to be guys, they're going to have a spares package. If we're struggling, if we, that you'll know yourself when you're in qualifying and it's just not happening, at least I know that we can take a risk, because if we do mess it up, it was worth that risk to try and get a better grid position. Maybe like the first few laps, I was just always so conscious on the first few laps that we've driven all this way to make a stupid mistake and cause myself fixing the bike for the next, say for the sprint race, spend all night fixing the bike for the feature race. Whereas the team have assured me that, they've got everything they need to fix these things. We never had a spare frame, we never had spare forks, we had wet wheels, we never had spare wheels. So there's a lot there that if I broke it on Friday, Saturday, we wouldn't be going out Sunday. So the pressure's a little bit off on that sense. But as far as everything else goes, it's very similar. We've still got a budget and make sure we do everything as planned. So.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And moving to Rhys a little bit, because obviously, the main talking point of Rhys last season was how strong you were in your debut year. Just as a summary, how do you feel your 2020 season went?
To be honest, a lot better than expected. At the end of the Talent Cup, as I was saying before, I kind of just thought, should I just go to stock 6, I'll ride my brother's old bike and just kind of see how I get on. And I remember just at the start of the year, I did like 3 days in Cartagena in March time. Now we had the whole lockdown and everything. And then I didn't ride it for ages. And then we get into the season and I just kind of got to grips with it quite quick. Kind of took maybe round one, maybe find my feet, and iron out some stuff. Probably if we had a bit more testing and stuff, I probably could have. But by the time I kind of found my feet and got the ball rolling, I've got on really well with the bike and I loved riding it. And I feel like maybe a lot of the stuff that probably held me back when I was trying to ride the Moto3 and the Talent Cup and stuff probably maybe helped me a bit on the 600.
You got 3 pole positions last year. Do you enjoy doing qualifying?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm quite good at maybe
the one lap.
Swinging out of it, and hanging it out when I need to.
Also, your best weekend was Brands GP, which was the conditions were very tricky. Have you always been pretty good in the damp conditions? Is it something you enjoy doing, shall I say?
It's hard to know. I'm definitely not afraid, as my dad will probably tell you after a few years of fixing stuff. I'm definitely not afraid when the conditions get kind of funny. But I try not to think about that stuff. I think whatever the conditions are the same for everyone, so you just need to go out and go hard as you can.
Oh, that was a really good win at Donington, to be fair, because there were a lot of people going down, and you didn't get the best of starts, but you came back through and won. So that was a really good win, that one was.
Because I remember I had chose for the dry tyres, and I remember at the start of the race I was thinking, damn, I wish I'd done wets, and then come the end of the race I was like, you know what, probably not a bad decision.
The main question, I think, you're probably sick and tired of these sorts of questions with the sibling thing. But obviously, I think it's safe to say that Keelan's always been sort of, in terms of class, and he's always been sort of in higher classes. You've never really raced each other that much. You've always sort of been, sort of a class below. Or did you or anyone around you expect to be so close to Keelan, fighting with Keelan, and even beating him?
Yeah, if I'm honest with you, no, not at all. I remember we were coming home from Brands and we were just, chatting, because obviously we've got quite a long drive home from Brands Hatch to the west coast of Ireland. And my dad said, if we said at the start of the year that we would have had a podium in every single race between me and Keelan, it would have been a good year. And I said, oh geez, I would have thought Keelan had a good year.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect it. And to be fair, I'm quite fortunate to have Keelan, because he's always tried everything before I've had to do it. So we've always had a bit of experience in it, because I was always kind of following him up through. So I'm lucky to have someone like him that has experienced everything before me, and then someone to help as well. So that when I come in this year for riding the 600, I could always, ask him stuff. And that it is nice to have someone like that is not going to tell you the wrong thing, or I hope not anyway.
Was there any ever arguments or anything like that? Did it change the dynamic of anything in the team?
No, not really. Well, obviously he was riding for the Astro JGR team, and then me and Dad were kind of running everything out of the back of the truck, out of the big grey box full of kind of not that badly damaged parts and stuff. but yeah, to be fair, he always kind of helped me. And then once, to be fair, when I was getting strong and maybe if he was kind of struggling for stuff, I'd try and help him. But most of the time, the information was always coming from him to me.
That's fair enough, and it's brilliant to see that as well, because it's brilliant to see you guys still, you have that relationship on track. Obviously, it's a different story, and all of that. Another thing, a lot of people were talking about, obviously, because your debut season was incredibly impressive. I've said it a few times now, and a lot of sort of things that people talk about is, that's because he's had loads of preparation. He's spent his whole Moto3 season doing 600 stuff as well and stuff like that. And people sort of play with these things a lot. In actual fact, how much preparation did you actually have moving from Moto3 to 600?
To be honest with you, I would have loved to have a lot more. If it wasn't for the pandemic and stuff, I would have been better prepared. And I think that's why you maybe seen round one, there was, we had some stuff with the bike, and then some stuff my fault, and some stuff, that I kind of self-inflicted. And yourself, at somewhere like Donington as well, we're coming off Moto3, I expected that I could have been quite good. But, I think, look, it's just at the start of the year, if we had a bit more preparation and stuff without the lockdown and stuff, it would have been ideal. And I have had people, a lot of people say to me that even if we had got the full season, that I would have won the championship, because I started low, and then come the end of the year I was getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So it's one of them, if I would have loved a bit more preparation.
It's a massive well done from me, and like you said, if you had the full season,
yeah, thank you.
Who knows what would have happened? And it's been brilliant to have you both on. I would love to have you on for another hour. There's so many more things I'd like to ask you guys, but we do have to start wrapping it up now, because Leicester's just pressing me for time. So thank you both for coming on.
Just before you go, guys, just wanted to just chip in with a few comments that have come in since we've been chatting, or since you have anyway. Charles Reynolds says, "Oi, oi, Rhys," aka the McGregor. Okay, that's whatever. And Neil Gibbons, hi Neil, has said, "Does Brad rate Heinz beans as a pre-race meal?"
Honestly, I don't eat a lot before a meal, so for a race. Sorry, so I'd go with no, but I mean, each to their own. Neil, well done. Get the question.
There seems to be more of a pre-race.
I love how
for me.
You and McGregor, was it? Who was it? Someone McGregor, and I got fucking compared to beans. I mean, how?
Well, Chrissy Rouse has also been on. Good evening, Chrissy. And he's, I don't actually know who he's referring to. Maybe we'll find out by this reaction. He says, that's some trophy collection, Shagger.
Yeah, that one is me up there. Well, actually, to be fair, these are all my motocross trophies back in the day. All my BSB ones are, in the sitting room and stuff. And then this is my mum's office at the minute with the lockdown. But these are actually trophies that I've got from all my motocross, my schoolboy motocross years.
Do you have a separate collection for you and Keelan, or just put them all together?
Oh, well, to be fair, this room is a bit kind of crazy at the minute. I was looking through some of them today, because, I have all my uni lectures and everything are all online. And I was looking, I seen one from 2010 and 2011 from old motocross days. And Yeah, no, there's probably loads in here that are a mixture of both.
To be fair, Brad's doesn't look too bad. It's only.
I was just going to say, yeah. I mean, he's got a pretty decent collection going on as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But guys, thank you very much for coming on Motorsport Radio on the Superbike Show this evening. We will, I guess, catch you in the paddock at some point, stalking you to see just what happens, really. If there's been any argy-bargy, as
yeah, thank you.
as we like to, I don't know, keep a track of these sorts of things. But thank you anyway.
Keep up with the interviews, Brad. They're very entertaining. So make sure you're on the podium plenty.
All right, and with that we will continue because we still have loads more still to come here on the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
This is Motorsport Radio.
And that brings us nicely to our big announcement here on Motorsport Radio. Wow, and it is a big announcement because I'm very pleased to say that coming up on Friday, the lead singer of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, is going to be on Motorsport Radio. We did a fantastic interview with him. It's a 1 hour long chat, and I'm still beaming because I can't believe he even agreed to do it with us. We've got it. It's Brian Johnson talking about, we don't even talk about music, to be honest. We talk about racing, crashing cars, racing cars. This guy leads such an amazing rock star life. If you don't know who he is or anything about him, it's, well, I'll just say Back in Black. There you go. Now you go.
No, there's more important than that. He was one of the fastest people around the Top Gear test track.
Well, he did the star in the Rhys. He wasn't one of the fastest, but he was on there, certainly. And we chatted to him on Motorsport Radio. Myself and Joshua Howells, a new presenter here on the station. And on Friday, you'll be able to get the full interview. We're releasing it at midday on Friday. It comes out as a podcast as well. And to celebrate on the radio stream this weekend, we are dedicating, it's basically a Brian Johnson AC/DC takeover all weekend here on Motorsport Radio with bits of the 1 hour interview in case you don't have time to ingest a full hour of Brian Johnson. Trystan, I'm guessing that you like rock music.
What would give you that idea?
Yeah, Trystan was a little bit surprised when I told him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's a big fan of AC/DC. I don't care, to be honest, but we got Brian Johnson on the show on Motorsport Radio. So that's our big announcement. I've been keeping it under my hat for like a week now. And,
you don't have a little preview snippet we can hear, do you?
I do not. Maybe towards the end of the show I'll grab it for you, but thanks for throwing me under that bus. Thank you anyway.
That's what I'm here.
I will tell you that he says things in this interview that I don't think, and we have researched it very carefully, he says things in this interview that he's never said in public anywhere else.
Wow, what a scoop.
Well, wait until you see what it actually is. It's not an amazing piece of information. It's about him crashing a car and almost dying, rolling and almost dying, and crashes into a... Anyway, but check it out. I don't want to tease it too much. We also talk a little bit about his music as well, whether there will be a new AC/DC album in a year or two, about touring with the band after COVID and stuff. And also, he talks quite a lot about his TV shows that he's been doing as well. He's stars. I forgot the name of them, but check it out. Motorsport.radio, Friday, midday. Brian Johnson of AC/DC is here. Thank you.
It's here now.
Not right now, but that's the big announcement, and I think it's fantastic, and I'm still smiling. I'm still beaming from it. So yeah, there we go. Right, I don't even know what we're doing next. Yeah, what are we doing next?
I think you're doing a bit of AC/DC karaoke, Lester. I think that's what we want to hear.
I almost had to do that when I got kicked out of that Skype call, which I think nobody noticed. I think we got away with it. pretty well.
Yeah, well, now everyone knows.
We blamed it on Rhys, didn't we? So, yeah.
We could have done karaoke if we had gone to Benidorm, but it's been cancelled.
That has unfortunately been the case. So, our next guest, by the way, on the show, because we have lots of guests coming up in a few minutes' time, in about 5 minutes or so. We have Trystan. Tell us.
Well, we're going to have the 2021 Triumph official rider with the PTR Dynavolt team, the first American champion in any BSB class, Brandon Paasch. He's been racing over in America in 2020. He's coming back to BSB once again. So I'm personally really excited for this one, because I sort of want to know the differences between Moto America, BSB. Moto America seems like a championship that's been growing and growing, and we're seeing more riders coming over. Well, we're starting to see it with Gerloff, even Bobier now, and obviously they've got that prize money going on over there. So there's plenty of interesting things we can delve into. The differences and similarities between BSB and America, his experiences of being the first American champion in BSB, and also I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yes, get your questions in for Mr. Paasch, if you have any at all. Get them to us. Add them into the comments box wherever you are digesting this show. I found us, actually, our entire archive going back to like early 2018 on a Russian social media site called VK.
Is anyone watching on it today?
I don't know, but actually I went on some of the posts, and yeah, it had a few, not many obviously, because it's in English and they're Russian, but it had a few people listening and tuned in, which I even forgot we were even on there, but yeah, there you go. Which reminds me as well to remind you that if you miss any of the shows and you don't fancy going through 2 full hours, if maybe you just want to listen to the interviews that we do here on Motorsport Radio on the Superbike Show, then you can put our Motorsport Radio into podcast provider. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We'll soon shortly have, I think we're already on Google Podcasts as well. We've been changing over. But yeah, basically, all your best podcast providers. And also, if you're just at work or in the garage or just mooching about at home during lockdown, you can stick us on 24/7 on our radio stream. Classic archive interviews and a few bits of music as well. Isn't that great, Trystan?
Yeah, that's brilliant. I was really, you said you were playing around with putting it on Spotify and Apple, but I didn't think you'd actually go and do it. So yeah, that's now we can listen to it on all platforms.
Exactly. Yes. And
why do that when you can come here and watch live and see us?
And get involved in the conversation and join in. And thank you to those who have. Hello to Kim Hollings as well, and to Chris Brooks. Good evening, Chris, regular listener to the show or viewer. And there's been a couple of topics of conversation as well that we've had whilst putting this show together this evening about the brand newly announced Mini GP series by the FI, a joint venture by the FIM and Dorna as well. They'll be looking to strengthen that road to MotoGP ladder. I don't know what is officially happening with that, whether it's going away or staying around for a bit, I don't know. But there's a brand new series for, I suppose, mini bikes, really. And it's going to be running the Ovals, or Ovales. Is it? What is it, Jay? You know better than I.
I pronounce it Ovali, but...
I'm going to
Ovale.
Ovali or Ovale, they're Italian made.
I'm going to say Ovali then, because...
GP bikes. 4 strokes instead of the 2 strokes that we use at Fab.
Fair enough. And that's what they'll be running. No news as to who will be running that championship in the UK, but it's supposed to be a standardised worldwide competition, and I think the winner of every single local, regional or national, depending on how it's organised around the world, the winner of that championship, I think, gets to go to the final MotoGP round and stand on the podium. I think. Oh, wow. If I'm remembering that right from the press release. So fantastic opportunity for whoever wins it, and let's just hope that there is some British representation from that. It would be the ACU that sets it up. Good luck, everybody. And also other bits of news. What else has been, just while we wait for Brandon to show up, what other bits of news do you were mentioning about pit bikes, Jay, earlier?
Which one was this?
I can't remember. There was how everything's coming down to just 2 manufacturers.
Yes, basically, yeah. You've just got to. There will be other people on our other sort of bikes, but the main competitive bikes now seem to be the Sci Motos or the CW bikes, and that seems pretty much the same really for both championships, really, BMB and Fab. So it'd be interesting. Like I said, it's turned into a bit of a war between them 2 manufacturers now. I don't think it's not like they dislike each other. It's just competitive competition, should I say? Competitive
competition.
Yes,
exactly. Trystan, do you still have what do you have? Do you have I forgot what bike it is. Do you have a pit bike or something about a KTM or something?
Oh, God knows. It's still in bits, I think. It's, I had a little SX 85 converted into like a little motocross thing. The kind of thing you'd find in the Extreme 200 class of Fab, which I've ridden, I think, twice. It blew up the second time I've rode it, and I haven't had it back since.
Oh.
But hopefully, when the track's open again, I'll get it back and get some track time.
Do you do any motocross training, Trystan, at all?
I've done
when
motocross.
Things were open.
I did motocross once in my life. It was in Spain, and it was on an old abandoned track that no one uses anymore, and it wasn't very well maintained. I couldn't last more than 2 minutes. My arms were dead. I couldn't stand it. I wasn't sure. I think part of that was me not quite being fit enough for motocross, and then part of that was being how rough the track was.
Oh.
Yeah. I've done motocross before, and I totally agree. It's hard work. And,
it's brilliant training.
You have to keep at it to be able to do it. I couldn't do it. I was no good at it. So,
well, talking about motocross, we on Motorsport Radio will hope to bring highlights of some of the national or national junior motocross championship this year. Details still to be arranged and finalised. But in the past, we have brought live coverage, live streaming of the, if I remember the title of it correctly, the British Youth Championship. That one. It's basically Fab Racing mini bikes, but motocross version of that. So hopefully, I don't know if we'll be able to bring any news on that, whether we'll get Brie able to get some on this season or what's going on. But stay tuned to Motorsport Radio, because we will endeavour to let you know about it, and if something definitely happens with that. Right, so we are almost at that time whereby we are going to try and bring in our next guest. I'll try and do it rapidly while you two are, as we say in the industry in broadcasting, filling.
Yeah, so tell us a bit more about pit bikes then.
Well, they're apparently really bad at filling, so...
No, I'm really looking forward to having our next guest on, obviously. Like I said before, trying with this new project, the Triumph project in BSB that's being tested out in BSB, and hopefully, if it goes well, it'll be taken to the world stage as well with the Triumph 765. So it's going to be really interesting to see that as well with the Ducatis that are coming into the Supersport class. So and the lineup they've got as well, the PTR team, could very well be in it to win the championship as well. But obviously, it's a bike that no one knows, so we're gonna have to wait and see. And I can't wait to get into it as well with Brandon once we can get it on. So yeah. It's going to be interesting for sure.
Exactly right. So I have successfully, I don't think anyone noticed me doing that, brought him onto the show now, and well, Trystan, take it away. Introduce our next guest.
Yeah, brilliant. So like I said, the 2021 Triumph official rider with the PTR Dynavolt team, and obviously the first American champion in any BSB class. Brandon Paasch. Brandon, how are we?
Good. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're all good. We're in a bit of a colder environment than you are. I'm assuming you're over on the eastern coast.
Yeah, we actually just got done riding today down here in Florida.
Oh, nice. Little bit more scenic than Coventry then. First off then, how does it, obviously, I mean, you've done a bit of back and forth, Motor America, BSB. How does it feel to be coming back to the BSB paddock?
I'm pumped. I mean, that's obviously, for me, I think it's the right direction to get into the World Championship. So I'm happy to be back overseas. And hopefully have a good season this year with the Dynavolt PTR Triumph team, and hopefully venture my way into World Supersport or et cetera, et cetera. So.
Yeah, and we'll get a bit more into that progression a bit later as well. But obviously, I mean, you've done a bit of back and forth, like I said. What was your very first season you did over in BSB? What was your your very first incentive? What was the first idea to come over here?
So like when I was like 12, 13 years old, I was always watching the BSB Moto 3 class for whatever reason, I don't know. And we kind of just set that as a goal, like, hey, let's go race the BSB Moto 3 championship one day. And it was supposed to happen a lot earlier than it did for me to come over. We were talking to actually like RX Racing back in like 2014, 2013. And we just were never able to make it happen. And then obviously like 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, I came over and did my first full season in the Moto 3 class. And then my second season, I wound up winning the championship. And that was kind of like a dream come true for me. It was just always a goal that I had, and it took me like 5 years to accomplish that goal. So now it's on to that next goal. So.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Obviously, you had your sights set on that. You came here. I mean, you did a couple of seasons, I think, and then you came over and won it. You started that journey with on the Mahindra, I think, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, I was teammates with Asher and Chris on the Mahindra team, and then moved over to the FPW KTM team for my second year in 2019.
What does it involve coming? Obviously, because I mean, coming over from America, getting everything organised to come over. What's involved in because being so far away and coming to racing here? What's involved in that process?
Honestly, like the first time that I came, we didn't really put too much thought into it. We just kind of like sent me over and hope for the best.
Yeah.
But, like this year, it's taken me a lot more time to figure out like how I'm going to be able to stay for the whole year because of COVID and those sort of things. So we're like working out how I'm going to get my visa and where I'm going to stay and all that good stuff, and like what bikes I'm going to be able to ride. And it's really difficult for me logistically because I have to bring like basically my whole life to England. Like I'm based here in America full time. I'm from New Jersey. I stay in New York a lot, and then in the winters I come down to Florida. So all my bikes are here, and all my gear and family, friends, everything's here. So when I just up and move over to England for the summers, it's kind of tough for me because I kind of come over and I don't really have any friends and et cetera. I don't have any bikes and stuff like that. So I kind of just hang out, ride my bicycle, and go racing.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to be sort of applauded there, and so much to be looked up to. The fact that sort of commitment coming over, and like you say, all that work that goes into that. Originally, sort of last year, if we're going back to 2020 season, you was meant to originally come into GP2 class, I think, wasn't it, with RS Racing? Was that sort of what happened? Was that sort of just because of logistics and COVID and all of that?
Yeah, so I raced Daytona. Well, I was supposed to race Daytona 200 here in America last March, and COVID hit right at the time where we were supposed to race. So we're actually at the track qualified. I qualified like 8th or something for the Daytona 200, and they canceled the race right before the race. So I basically got on a flight the day after they canceled it straight to England to try and get over and stay there because I knew like COVID was coming. I was like, everything's going to be locked down. I just need to get there and just settle down. And within 24 hours of me getting to England, they actually postponed the season. So I flew home. And when I flew home, that was probably the biggest mistake I could have made last year because I couldn't get back into the country. So we basically settled with riding here in America for the season. Not settled, but we decided that it was safer and a bit easier logistically for me just because of all the travel restrictions and stuff. And
I mean, so you had a really successful season this year. I think it's safe to say. I mean, I was following a few of the Supersport rounds, and you were always up the front, always on the podium, from what I saw for sure. But you know, going back to sort of your early memories of BSB, just talk us through the journey you've had in BSB.
So I think a lot of people don't really know, but in 2014, I did my first BSB event when I was like 13 years old. I flew over to Aston in the Milwaukee Junior Cup. So technically it wasn't really a BSB class, but it was in conjunction with the BSB. And I finished way back, finished like 13th, 14th, something like that. And kind of realized, okay, I need to take a step here with my riding. And I came back the next year in 2015, and I did 3 wild cards in the Milwaukee Junior Cup. And every race I finished on the podium. So it was one at Donington Park, one at Brands Hatch, and then Aston again. Finished, I think, 2/3 and 1 second, something like that. And at the end of that, we were like, okay, next year we need to go Moto3. I want to go Moto3. And we really pushed for that, but in the end, we couldn't make it happen. So I wound up racing in America, raced the KTM Junior Cup over here, won that championship. And the next year, in 2017, I got a ride with the factory Suzuki team here in America in Supersport at 16. So I was just turned of age to race in the Supersport class, and had a factory ride, and everything was going great. And then out of nowhere, I kind of lost the ride and was sitting on my butt on the couch for half the season, and wound up getting a ride again in the BSB championship in the Stock 600 class with GNS Racing, and came over, did half the season there. I think I might have finished like 1 or 2 top 10s, and other than that, I was just struggling between 10th and 15th. Just wasn't quite comfortable with the bike and with the tracks, and it was a big transition for me coming from America at that young of an age to like a bike and a series and tracks that I didn't really know. So I really quite struggled in 17, and then 2018 came over, first full season on Moto3, came out round 1 on the podium. Thought it was going to be a great year, and then just kind of struggled from there. Was like battling for top 5s and 5th, 6th, 7th area, and had one good race at I think it was Olton. And in the morning warm-up, it was wet. I sat myself before the second race and shattered my wrist and missed the last 2 rounds. So, but still finished 5th in the championship that year somehow.
But transitioning... Sorry, you carry on.
So, sorry about in, but just wondering, like, going back really to early in your career, road racing in America, it's not that big. So how did you get into it? Was it your family have always been into road racing, or was it just a passion that you had from a really early age?
I started racing motocross when I was like 3.5, 4 years old here in America in the 50 class. And I was pretty focused on that, like 50s, and then I went 65s. And then right before I went to like 150s, 85s, 150s, somebody like mentioned that there was this like mini moto championship actually like in my state in New Jersey here. And I decided to try it, and I was way better instantly at that than I was at motocross. I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. And from there, I just fell into it and started watching tons of old races. And my uncle actually road raced at the time as well in the AMA. So I just kind of got really deep into it, just watching.
A lot of my heroes when I was younger were Americans. I was a massive Colin Edwards fan back in the day, and obviously Nicky Hayden. Did you look up to those sort of guys as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously as an American rider, my heroes growing up was always Colin Edwards, Nicky Hayden, and then recently, well, not recently anymore, but for me when I was growing up was PJ Jacobson, because he was local to my house, and he came over to BSB, won some stock 1000 and podium in Superbike class and Supersport, and runner-up World Supersport. Like he was kind of like the man of my childhood. So watching him race was always pretty inspiring for me, just like to prove that somebody can do it coming from where I was from.
Yeah, sure.
The main sort of question I have for you is why BSB and why not Moto America?
For me, at this point, I think like Moto America is very much like in a progression state where they're kind of still growing, still trying to fill spots on the grid, and still trying to like kind of grow the series. So for me, I think BSB is a bit more established at the moment. There's like more teams, more riders, more competition, and I feel like a lot of the world championships and world championship teams look at the BSB and hold it as like a higher championship than they would to the American series. No offense to them, but I just feel like it's looked more like it's basically a world championship, but in England, you know?
Yeah.
It's great to see that American team in Moto2 now, and obviously that must be something that you would dream of getting into.
Yeah, that would be awesome to ride for them guys. I actually know all those people. I've had meetings with the team, and I'm friends with Joe Roberts. I'm friends with Cameron Bobier. Me and Bobier, I actually stayed at his house a couple years ago for like 2-3 weeks, trained with him. So we're pretty good friends, and if there's ever a spot opened up, that would be great.
It'd be really good to see how he does in this season, because obviously he kind of ran away with the American Championship last year. So it'd be good to see how he does in the Moto2 this year.
Yeah, I'm hoping he does pretty well, just to help us make look a little bit better. But yeah, I think he'll do well. I think it's going to take him a couple races just to get settled in with the team and with the bike and all that stuff, because it's such a big change coming from. He's been running away with every race here in America and hasn't had to battle anybody in years. So I think just the racing side of it alone is going to be a little bit different for him, like the strategy of how to win a race. You know what I mean?
And similar to Bobier, you had obviously Garrett Gerloff, who did really well in World Superbike this year. And seeing more Americans make it out of Moto America and make it out onto the world stage and impress as well, not just, because Gerloff went out and he impressed, he didn't just leave. Do you think we'll see more of this? Do you think Moto America sort of growing in that respect?
Yeah, honestly, I think we've always had this talent level over here. It's just been like there hasn't been any opportunities for riders. And now that over here, we've had, in the past 2 years, the factory Suzuki team here in America kind of pulled out. The factory Yamaha team isn't really factory anymore. It's kind of like taking a big step backwards, and the riders here, their paychecks started to get cut. So they're like, okay, it's time to go to Europe. And not that they're making more money in Europe or here. It's just like, I don't know. I think as far as Bobier was, I think he kind of was in a position where he had to go. Same thing with, I think Gerloff wanted to go more than had to go. But I think just with the doors that are starting to be opened up, it's helping us a lot.
I'd say, the biggest thing I've noticed, obviously, because as a rider myself, you're always like looking what the options are out there and stuff, and looking at Moto America. One of the first things I noticed was the prize money. Is that, is that exactly how it looks? Are you actually getting paid for riding out there, or is it like BSB where you just sort of throwing money at a team and that's it? You pay for your riding and you go out on track. Yeah.
So there's over here. It's usually either there's three things over here. It's either you're a really good rider and you're getting paid on one of the best teams, and there's not very many seats that are paying. And that's sort of super sport level, is it? Super sport level. There's basically the Suzuki team was the only team that was paying. And now it's kind of nobody's paying riders to ride anymore in super sport here. The way that everybody's making their money is kind of off of bonuses. So you basically, like, if you do well, top three, you collect whatever it is from your manufacturer, and then hopefully your helmet and gear and all that kind of stuff. I know the contingency at Suzuki was pretty good. And same thing with Kawasaki. The contingency is really good here as well, because nobody rides the Kawasaki, especially Superbike. It's like $15,000 to win a race. So there's definitely ways to make money here, but it's not as cut and dry as everybody thinks. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And whilst you've been there, how much would you say, sort of like a super sport or a superbike rider, is there a big difference in their earnings? From super sport to superbike, it's I don't know how the earnings kind of work in superbike yet, because I'm not there, but just from the rumors, the superbike guys definitely make a little bit more money than we were in super sport. I can't believe Tony Elias was going short of money, let's put it that way. Yeah, no, he was making good money, but also in the past couple of years, like I said, the Suzuki team's not really as factory anymore. It's kind of, they're losing a bit support. Same thing with like the Yamaha team. Monster Energy actually pulled out of sponsoring the team. So there's just some little things like that where people are taking cuts on their prize money and stuff, and kind of sucks, but it's just where the industry's at. So yeah, no, absolutely. Trying to hustle. It's something we talk about. Pretty much every week on this show is sort of the costs of racing and stuff like that. But moving it back to BSB and moving it back to the year ahead of you. This is exciting. This is, a new project, Triumph. This is the 765. First off, how do you feel about the team? I'm super pumped, honestly. It's a team that I've been following in the World Championship for a while now. Yeah, it's just a really, really good opportunity for me, I think. As soon as I heard that it was available, I jumped at it, and I was like, all right, let's go. I'm excited. And just like working with Simon and the whole PTR team, I mean, I know they have plenty of experience. And then even working with Triumph, I know they're new to coming into the Super Sport class with the 765, but they have plenty of experience with the motors in the World Championship, and the Triumph 675 from back in the day actually handled really well and kind of just lacked a little bit of the power. And now that they have the new 765 motor, I think it'll be a really good bike. So I'm excited to go racing on it. I actually have one here in America that I've been training on, just taking it to track days and riding it as much as I can. So I'm pretty lucky in that sort where I have the weather and I have the means to be able to go ride as much as possible. So I think we'll be able to start strong.
That's brilliant. I've noticed that you've had a chance to get out there and ride on it, and that's brilliant. What's your sort of first impressions of it then? What's it like? Well, how does it compare to sort of other bikes you've ridden?
I mean, honestly, the thing is, it's really strong off the corner, but I think like as far as 600, I mean, I was riding with somebody who was on a 636 as well, and I followed them because like I know how fast the bike is because I've rode every middleweight now. And compared to the 636, the Triumph was a bit better off the corner, and I think on the top end, I don't think it's any faster than the other bikes, at least not mine, my personal one. Honestly, actually, I think the Cowie might have been a little bit quicker on top end, but it was just coming off the corner. The bike felt real smooth and real nice to ride. Pretty similar to like a Superbike, to be honest. Like the way that you have to kind of slow down and turn the bike and then drive off the corner. It's more similar to a 1000, I'd say. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool. I like it, and it's definitely different with the 3 cylinders instead of a traditional 4-cylinder. So.
How competitive do you think it will be? Do you think you're going to be going in there looking for the championship, or it's going to be sort of take some time to adapt it?
Honestly, I always want to win a championship. I want to win races. I want to win championships, and that's what I show up to do, and that's what I get paid to do. So that's my goal for the year. Go after that title, go after some race wins, and see where we're at. Obviously, I'm not expecting to go out and win the first couple races just because everything's new. So I'm looking to start at a good spot and then just build from there and work my way to the front, which is kind of where I feel like I'm strong is I'm able to keep my head going in the right direction and keep focused on what the goal is. So I think even if we start and we're top 5, 6, 7, 8, that's a starting point and we can work our way up from there. So I'm not expecting too much out of the gate, but I am expecting to be at the front by the end of the year.
Does it worry you at all that it's a bit of a, it's like an unknown area, it's an unknown project, it's not really something we've seen yet in the Supersport class?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, honestly, like just because there's so many unknowns for me as far as like the team and the bikes, and like I don't know anything. I'm just showing up, and when I show up to the first test, it's like, hey guys, how are you? Nice to meet you all. So I mean, going from that to hopefully we get a good bit of testing in before the season, and then we show up to round 1 prepared and look like we know what we're doing.
Of course, I mean, testing's at the moment so difficult to get going with, I mean, especially for you as well with traveling over. Is there any sort of plans in place with that?
Well, at the moment, I'm scheduled to race the Daytona 200 here in a couple weeks. So after that, I think I'm going to fly directly to England and get everything sorted out, get settled in, and then hopefully go testing. I think our team is scheduled to do the BSB tests, like the official tests. So as long as we're in for that, and as long as they don't get canceled, we should be good to go.
And how's that work?
Just staying on Daytona quickly, I've been really lucky enough to watch bikes go round. It would have been AMA back then. And I've also watched NASCARs there. What is it like riding around that banking at that speed? It must be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Daytona is like, it's a different breed of track, honestly. You're just sitting on the banking, you're full gas, just tucked in like, your head's shaking around in the wind. And you don't even realize how fast you're going, honestly, because you're so like, you're looking so far ahead, like your eyes are up the track so far that you don't realize you're going as fast as you're going until you get on the brakes for turn 1 and you're like, oh man, I'm going from 6th gear down to 2nd gear, and it's like the bike's sideways, you're just sliding into the first corner. It's a special feeling for sure. Definitely one that like I mean, if you've never done it, it would be really cool to do it, just to say like, hey, I've raced Daytona. But I mean, it's definitely not one of my favorite tracks.
No,
It's just different. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a really cool track, but there's not a whole lot to it. You're full throttle for like a minute around the whole track, just 6 gear flat out on a 600. So it's cool. It's definitely cool, but it's a little scary when you're in a big group, and then it gets kind of boring, especially like during the 200. It's a 69 lap race, so you're full throttle for a solid 30 minutes.
From the 2 times I've been there, I've seen the polar opposite of sports in America. When I went and watched NASCAR there, it was like hundreds of thousands of people there. It's probably the biggest sport in like most people I've ever been to. And then I went there to watch Superbikes, and it was like a ghost town. So you can tell how much the Americans love the NASCAR, and that the bike racing doesn't really take off in America.
Yeah, we're I'm actually living like right now 10 minutes from the speedway, not even. So we're going over there and like checking it out, and they just had the I think they just had like the Rolex 24 hours or something like a couple weeks ago, and then last week they had like their first NASCAR race, and then I think coming up pretty soon here it should be the Daytona 500.
Yeah, because it's coming up on my timeline on Facebook that I was at watching the Daytona 500.
Yep. So we have like all the races are within a week of each other. So we'll have like NASCAR, the American Flat Track Championship, Supercross, and then the road race. So
are they all behind closed doors then at the moment then?
Honestly, I think they're all open. Like you can just buy a ticket, show up. I know for the 200 they have spectators, and then the flat track races there's spectators, but you can't go into the pits.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about NASCAR because I don't really follow it at all.
You're probably one of the few Americans that doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like everybody that I know is into motorcycles, so we're all focused on that same goal. You know, we don't really focus on anything other than racing. So I don't really know too many people that like follow NASCAR. You know.
I'm a bit odd, I am, because I'm not really an F1 fan, but I don't mind NASCAR, so I suppose I'm a bit odd as well.
Right on. Yeah, no, NASCAR's cool. I mean, it's like, I don't know, they're full gas all the time. It's kind of crazy. But
yeah. That's a different conversation. We'll get back to a proper sport, the bikes.
It's sort of staying on it a little bit. What would you say is like in the difference in tracks? Are American tracks similar to tracks in BSB? Is it some similar style, or is it completely different?
Honestly, it's way closer than people think. And sometimes I like give everybody a different answer just because, I don't know, I want to like antagonize people a little bit. But we have similar tracks to like Olton and Cadwell. I mean, we don't have anything with a jump, but we got like some real tight tracks like Road Atlanta. It's very tight and technical, a lot of blind corners. And then that would be kind of similar to like an Olton Park. Then we also have GP tracks. Like we go to Austin in Texas. We go to Laguna Seca. We go to Road America, which is a very underrated track, GP style track. We kind of have a mix of everything, really. Similar to BSB, where we go to Silverstone, we go to Donington, we go to Brands, and those are all very like GP-ish tracks. Not so much Brands, but Donington and Silverstone. And then over here, we go to a good variety of tracks as well. We have like the more dangerous tracks with no runoff and like a lot more tight and blind corners. And then we also have fast flowing tracks. So we kind of have a mix of everything over here. Just depends on the calendar and where the series decides to go on that season.
I think it's safe to say that the Triumph team that you're going to be with now, PT, obviously, they've been a World Championship team for a long time. I think it's safe to say that they're going to try and take this Triumph challenge thing to the World Championship. I'm assuming this is your sort of aim and goal as well, as to try and get there with them. Is that your sort of plans for the future?
Yeah, it's in my contract. There's some stuff in my contract. So if everything goes right, we'll hopefully make our way into the World Championship. I mean, it really depends on what the rules wind up being for the Triumph and all that sort of stuff, like what Dorna decides they want to do with the bike. And then at the end of the year, if the team likes working with me, or if for whatever reason something goes wrong and we decide to split, then that happens. But obviously that's all of our goal, I think, is we all want to progress as one team to the World Championship and and have that 1 year of working together before we go into the World Championship, so we can start on the right foot.
Would you consider? Obviously, I mean, the future's the future. It's always vague. But I mean, would you consider anything else? I saw you've played with a bit in CEV as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like I'll ride anything, anytime, anywhere. Just I'll show up and I'm gonna put my best effort in and try to win. And I don't care what it's on, I want to win. So for me, if it's CEV and it's a Moto 2, great. I'm gonna show up and try to win. If it's Superbikes and BSB, cool. I'm gonna show up and put my best effort and hopefully I'm at the front. And same thing if it winds up being Moto America, I'm a Superbike or a Super Sport, I'm gonna go out and try to win. And that's kind of my main goal is, once I know where I'm racing and what I'm racing, it's okay, how can I make that bike go to the front? And that's kind of what I've been focusing on the past month and a half, 2 months here. Ever since I knew that I was racing the Triumph, it was, all right, let's be as best prepared as we can. Let's get one of the bikes. Let's do all these things and be as well prepared as I can be for the season. And that's always my goal, is to win races and win championships. And that's all I want to do, and wake up every day with that goal in mind. So, I mean, I feel like I'll be tough to beat at some points this year. So,
it's been awesome to talk to you, and I'm really excited to see how this project with the Triumph is gonna pang along. So, thanks a lot for coming on the show to talk to us.
Can we squeeze in my quick fire questions?
Oh yeah, go on, Jay.
Right, some quick fire questions. Some are a bit of fun, but we'll see what your answers are. Right, it's come to the end of your career. What would you have preferred, a MotoGP race win or a World Superbike title?
That one's tough. I mean, as far as like a championship versus a race win, it depends what team I'm riding for in MotoGP and World Superbike. But I'd say probably a MotoGP win, because that's everybody's dream, is to go to MotoGP. Yeah. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be upset with a World Superbike team.
What sort of training do you do away from the racetrack?
Away from the road racetrack, I also ride a lot of motocross, supermoto, and flat track, and then a lot of cycling. I kind of really enjoy getting out on the push bike and going for a couple miles, and mountain bikes a lot when I'm back home in Jersey, and hopefully this year in England, I like to bring my bicycles with me and travel with my bikes and just go exploring and see new stuff. So.
Quickly off that one, where do you stay when you are in England? Do you just sleep in hotels, or do you have an English family, shall we say?
Yeah, I actually live with my good buddy Andy Levers. He was my data guy in BSB for the last 2 seasons that I raced over there. And we live in Derby, so in the Midlands.
So near Donington, really?
Yep, yeah, we're about like 5-10 minutes from Donington, so
Sweet.
Pretty good location for me, and I don't know, I'm happy there. So.
Would you ever consider doing the Isle of Man TT or Northwest 200?
Yeah, actually, I get this question a lot, and if there was ever an opportunity to go do it, I'd be definitely excited to do it. Maybe not on a superbike, but yeah.
Maybe on the Super Twins. They seem to be in a beginner class.
The Twins would be pretty sweet. I don't know if they do like a supermoto class or not, but I'm pretty saucy on one of them, so if that's ever a thing.
Away from racing, what is top of your bucket list?
You mean like what do I want to do before I die?
Yeah, away from racing.
Probably like skydiving or something like that. I don't know. I feel like jumping out of a plane would be kind of cool.
Sounds good to me. That's something I want to do, to be honest with you. A lot of people say they'd never do it, but something I want to do. If you could go on a track day at any track in the world that you haven't been to currently, where would you go?
Either Phillip Island or Misano.
Yeah, a lot of people say Phillip Island, to be honest with you, but to be honest with you, I think you'll be in World Superbike level soon, so it shouldn't be too long till you're there.
Thanks.
If you didn't do, I think you're probably going to say motocross, but if you didn't do road racing, what other sport would you like to try competitively?
That's a good one. I'm not really good at anything else, so I'm going to go with probably like, I don't know, flat track or supermoto, something like that.
Yeah. It's quite popular in America, the flat track, I see, especially those big-ass bikes that they ride around in the ovals. Is amazing what they do. Yeah,
I'm living with the guy who his brother-in-law won the overall championship last year in the American flat track, and he won the Production Twins championship.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. Some of the speeds they're picking up with like pretty much no front brake, isn't it?
Yes, there's no front brake and over 100 miles an hour at some of the tracks. Pretty gnarly.
And This last question is going to be a bit different because you've been in America and you've been in England. But when you've had a really good race weekend, like what's your number one fast food on the way home from a race?
Oh, that's a good one. When I'm in England, usually it's either a nice McDonald's or KFC. It really depends on what track we're coming home from. Which stop we take off the motorway. In America,
I'll tell you one thing. America needs to bring Wendy's over to England because Wendy's is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, if you think Wendy's is good, you need to go to Chick-fil-A next time you come to America.
Oh, okay.
Great.
I'll give it a look. I had a Wendy's for the first time. I thought that was brilliant. So, all right, that's the end of my quick-fire questions. I'll hand you over the guys. Cheers for that. I look forward to seeing you in the paddock in 2021.
Thank you very much. Brandon, and good luck with it all, and if we can trouble you to come back on the show maybe later in the season and see how well you're doing.
Yeah, I'm always available. Just send me a message, and more than happy to come back on and chat about anything.
We will do. Thank you very much, and as I say, good luck with the season. Brandon Paasch here on Motorsport Radio, and we will continue briefly.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Yes, and the news is out that our big announcement is coming to Motorsport Radio, and that is that AC/DC singer, songwriter, rock legend, also race car driver, classic car collector as well, and TV host. He's done a lot of things. Brian Johnson will be here on Motorsport Radio on Friday from midday. Wow. So that was a big announcement amongst a few other things that we've done tonight on the show. Pretty good. I'm pretty stoked about it. Hey, sorry?
It's flown by tonight.
It kind of has, yeah. And we've had 3 great guests on. Well done. Good recruiting there. I think that was Trystan's job. He gets the credit for bringing those on, I believe.
No one wants to talk to me, so I'm going to have to up my game on trying to get guests on.
It's all about the bribery, Jay. You've got to offer them.
I know. What are you offering them, Trystan?
Anyway,
I can't disclose that.
Next week's show, we will get into predictions and who will win, and we want your opinions on it. So big show next week, as well as whoever guests we've got booked. But if maybe nobody, then we'll have an even bigger prediction show here on Motorsport Radio. Who will win BSB this year? Who is going to be the biggest underdog, do you think? Can it be the season of Ryan Vickers in BSB? Who knows? Oh, that's an interesting question.
Will Rory Skinner.
Will Rory Skinner do some interesting stuff?
You'd make a lot of money if you bet on that.
You reckon?
Well,
yeah.
let's.
I wouldn't put it past him, but I wouldn't say it's an obvious choice.
Maybe. What about Storm Stacey as well? I mean, surely he's due. He's. You can't say he doesn't have talent. Is it just a matter of time? Maybe we could see a podium with all 3 of them at some point.
Never know.
That's what you hope to see, isn't it? You hope to see these young riders coming in and knocking about at the front, and that's promise for the future, isn't it? For riders that can then move on to whatever it is. Well, Superbike, MotoGP, we want to see these young guns at the front of BSB and fighting people like Brooks, people who've been there. It's all good having people like Brooks and Shaky coming back in. The people who've already been and gone and done it.
Coming back in? He's something we don't?
I'm not disclosing anything, but no, not to my knowledge. But sort of as an example, it's all good having these big names. They're good for the championship. They're exciting. Everyone loves them. But I think what's best for British championships and what's best for British racing in this situation is to have these riders like we have, like Brad Perie coming through, Rhys, Irwin, Chrissy Rouse, Lewis Rollo, all these names. It's good to have these guys coming into the class and showing that there is talent in young British racers.
We say it every year, but I think the BSB championship next year is good. I think 10 people in the championship.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
Yeah, it is. I mean, probably wide open. The showdown is back this year. Don't know if anyone knew that.
Did we miss it?
I'm quite happy. I'm one of the few people who like the showdown. So
I don't disagree with you. I think it works. It serves its purpose. I mean, if I was riding in it, depending on whether I got the short end of the straw, or depending on...
You can't really listen to riders.
I might disagree, but I do think it serves its purpose in the way that it's there to bring the championship down to the final round, and it always does.
It's for the fans. It's for us.
Yeah.
It's not really for you. I mean, part of watching, the showdown, really, and watching any, finale in BSB is to see people like you, Trystan, sorry to say, potentially lose out, because that adds to the drama. We want to see, your reactions. We want to see all emotions, just like was said earlier on the show. It's nice, really, for us to see a bit of conflict.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%. I mean, like I'd say, if I was there and I was being one of the riders that lost out because of it, then I might disagree. But like I say, it serves its purpose, and it is entertaining. As much as a lot of people have a lot of things to say about it, and people describe it as gimmicks, as a gimmick or whatever. But I think it serves its purpose. At the end of the day, BSB is meant for entertainment, and I think it's quite safe to say it entertains.
Yeah.
I don't think there really has ever been I think I can remember one season where I can really think it has actually, the person who hasn't deserved it has won it, if you do it. Does that make sense? Like, the person who has won it has generally been the person who actually deserved to win it.
Who? Name names. Who do you think didn't deserve to win?
The year Tommy Hill and Hopkins had their extremely close race, if it was a normal championship, Shaky would have won it. So,
but it wasn't.
No. So that was the only year where.
Well, you say if it was a normal championship. I mean,
if the showdown didn't exist, Shaky would have won it.
There's always ifs and buts, though, isn't there? Yeah. You could say that about many things. There's always going to be champions that maybe didn't quite. I mean, a lot of people can say Mia, for example, having only won. What did he win? One race, maybe two.
One race.
One race, having only won one race.
No one wants.
I know a lot of people can sort of argue and say that that he's not as much of a worthy champion or whatever. But it's all ifs and buts, isn't it? I mean, people might say if Morbidelli didn't get taken out at Austria and didn't have his engine blown up, that he would have won, and Morbidelli deserved to win. You can always say ifs and buts. Mia won the championship, and so did Tommy.
It's just as much about as the bike being reliable as the rider. It's a team thing at the end of the day.
It's also, I mean, I suppose you could say if Trystan had a ride and he was, let's say, I don't know, still in stock 600 and it was with a good team maybe and they were up at the front, it's all ifs and buts, but...
There should be announcements soon about that whole situation.
That's the one thing that we've not even touched on, apparently, that and shiny pinfall. We're not going there. But Trystan, we've not even asked you.
It, not me.
I can promise you that there is finally...
This is going to be the Rich Energy announcement. I will promise you an announcement of announcing proportions.
Something is sorted and ready to go. Oh. We just need to get the announcement out there, and it's just been difficult with arranging photos for press releases and stuff like that. But I will bring a news very soon.
Next week, then. Good, excellent. You heard it here first. Here on the Superbike Show, the first of 2021. Thank you very much for everyone who has accidentally clicked on the stream, either downloaded this as an audio podcast, which you can do, by the way, in full or in part. We will try and I'll split the interviews up so you don't have to listen to us waffling on. And also, check out on Friday midday our interview with AC/DC and rock legend Brian Johnson. We waffle on for about an hour talking about cars, racing. Totally down-to-earth guy, totally nice guy, and he's here on Motorsport Radio. And I still can't believe it, to be honest. So
starstruck are we, Lester?
That's coming out on midday on Friday here on Motorsport Radio. Oh, and we've also got a Brian Johnson AC/DC weekend takeover on our radio stream as well. So motorsport.radio for that. There you go. Right, first show back. Went well, didn't it?
Yeah, very chatty.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to stop Brad from talking sometimes, isn't it?
Well, it is a talk.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I do like an American accent. I can't give you that.
And more about various things that Jay likes, which we don't have time to get into tonight, on next week's show. Thank you very much, as I said, for tuning in and being part of the Superbike Show, and also putting up with me being somewhat distracted as well while I cue various bits of things up. But thank you, and we'll see you next week, Wednesday. Are we all right for next Wednesday?
Yeah, all good.
All right, that's it.
I'll try and look at the planner.
Good, excellent, and we'll try and be on time and stuff. Next Wednesday, roughly about 8 o'clock, here on Motorsport Radio.
Bye-bye.
Sport Radio.
Awesome, right?
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.